Not least of all because the monarchy is about continuity. But I think for my brother, this is something he's been waiting for. And he's probably spent more time thinking about it.
Behind the gilded doors of Buckingham Palace, a decision has reportedly been made that almost nobody saw coming. According to claims now circulating among royal watchers, King Charles has quietly handed Princess Anne oversight of Queen Camilla's royal spending, a move that, if true, would rewrite the balance of power inside the monarchy's most private rooms. The palace has said nothing, Camilla has said nothing, and that silence is exactly why the whispers keep growing louder. So why would the king place his sister in such a sensitive position? What does it mean for the Queen? And could this reported arrangement be the first sign of something much bigger stirring behind palace walls? Stay with us, because the deeper you look into this story, the stranger it becomes. For years, Queen Camilla has stood at the King's side, carrying out engagements across Britain and around the world, supporting charities, hosting receptions, and representing the crown at the highest level. Like every senior royal, that official work comes with costs: travel, staff, wardrobe for public duties, and the countless expenses that keep the machinery of monarchy turning. Ordinarily, these matters are settled discreetly, far from the public eye, which is precisely why one recent report has caused such a stir. According to the claims, King Charles has decided that Princess Anne should have greater oversight of how certain funds connected to Camilla's official role are managed. Nothing has been confirmed by the palace, and it must be stressed that these remain unverified reports. Yet the idea alone has ignited one of the most talked about royal conversations of the year, and the reasons behind it may surprise you. What caught so many people off guard is the choice of Anne herself. Unlike some members of the family who dominate headlines, the Princess Royal has built her reputation in silence. Hundreds of engagements a year, decades of service, and almost no appetite for drama. If these reports are accurate, Charles has effectively placed the monarchy's most disciplined worker in a position to review how money linked to the Queen's duties is spent. Some observers believe this signals the King's determination to run a leaner, more accountable institution. Others sense something more delicate at play, unspoken concerns perhaps, or a quiet recalibration of trust at the very top of the family. Without an official explanation, speculation has filled the vacuum. But to understand why Charles might make such a move, you have to understand how he thinks about money, and that story goes back decades. Long before he wore the crown, Charles earned a reputation as a meticulous financial manager. For more than 50 years, he ran the Duchy of Cornwall, transforming it into a formidable estate while championing environmental and community projects. Those who worked with him describe a man who reads the numbers, questions the costs, and never forgets that public confidence is the monarchy's true currency. Since his accession, he has spoken repeatedly about a smaller, more efficient royal family, one that can look the British public in the eye during a cost of living crisis and say, honestly, that every pound is respected. The sovereign grant may fund official duties, but every renovation, every tour, every reception is scrutinized by the press and debated by the public. Charles knows that a single headline about excess can undo years of careful image building, and that, sources suggest, is where his sister comes in. Accountability in any great institution rarely rests on one pair of shoulders. Governments appoint auditors, corporations build oversight committees, charities answer to trustees. If the reports are true, the king may simply be applying the same logic inside his own household, creating an extra layer of review, not as an accusation, but as insurance. And if you were choosing one person in the royal family to guard the books, could there be a more obvious candidate than Anne? This is a woman who has famously worn the same outfits for decades rather than waste money on fashion, who arrives on time, prepares thoroughly, and treats a village charity visit with the same seriousness as a state occasion. Her modest lifestyle has become almost legendary, the anti-celebrity royal in an age of spectacle. Allies of the king reportedly see her as the family's conscience on matters of duty and discipline. But there is another side to this story, because whenever oversight is introduced, one uncomfortable question always follows: was something wrong before? To answer that, look at the record Anne has quietly built. She has served through jubilees and funerals, through scandals that engulfed other members of the family, through decades of shifting public opinion, and through it all, her name has stayed remarkably clean. Government ministers have praised her work ethic. Charity leaders describe a patron who actually reads the briefing papers. Even critics of the monarchy often make an exception for the Princess Royal. She has witnessed the institution from the inside across 3 generations, and she understands, perhaps better than anyone alive, how quickly public goodwill can evaporate when money looks mismanaged. She is also famously honest with her brother. Palace observers have long described Anne as one of the few people who will tell the king exactly what she thinks, even when the truth is uncomfortable. In a family where flattery flows easily, that kind of candor is rare, and reportedly Charles treasures it. So if the king wanted a guardian for the monarchy's financial reputation, someone immune to gossip, indifferent to luxury, and unafraid of difficult conversations, the reports suggest he already knew where to look. Yet every appointment casts a shadow. Because the moment you place one royal in charge of reviewing another's spending, the world starts asking what prompted it. That question leads directly to Queen Camilla and to years of public fascination with royal money. Let's be clear about the facts first. There has never been any confirmed finding of wrongdoing in Camilla's spending, and no official body has raised formal concerns about her. Much of the confusion comes from how royal finances actually work. Official duties, state visits, staff, the upkeep of historic residences are funded mainly through the sovereign grant, while personal expenses come from private income and estates. Yet the public rarely separates the two. When newspapers highlight the cost of a royal tour, a lavish reception, or renovation work at a palace, many assume they are witnessing personal luxury rather than the price of running a 1,000-year-old institution. Camilla, as queen, now lives under a magnifying glass she never faced before. Every gown, every flight, every guest list is counted and compared. Some commentators have asked whether the costs surrounding her role have crept upward. Others insist those expenses are simply what queenship demands. The truth, as ever with the palace, remains locked behind closed doors. But here's what makes the reported new arrangement so intriguing, because it could change how those doors operate entirely. If Princess Anne truly has been given a supervisory role, royal insiders suggest the effects could ripple far beyond one household budget. Major spending plans might now pass through an additional level of review before approval. Budgets for tours, receptions, and engagements could face sharper questions. Is this necessary? Is this proportionate? Does this serve the crown or merely decorate it? None of this would imply past mismanagement. Modern institutions tighten their systems all the time, and a monarchy fighting for relevance in the 21st century can hardly afford to look careless. Stronger oversight could also draw the senior royals into closer coordination, more communication between palace offices, more shared planning, fewer surprises when the annual accounts are published. And for a king obsessed with securing the monarchy's future, there may be a deeper message in all of this, that no one, not even the Queen, sits above accountability. It is a bold principle, but principles have consequences, and that raises the question everyone is quietly asking: how has Camilla taken it? Officially, there has been no reaction at all, not a statement, not a hint, not a raised eyebrow in public. But according to several reports, none confirmed by the palace, Camilla has accepted the king's reported decision with composure, even if it may have caused some private discomfort. And honestly, who could blame her if it did? This is a woman who spent decades clawing her way from public hostility to genuine acceptance, who rebuilt her image engagement by engagement, charity by charity, until the nation finally crowned her queen. After a journey like that, watching another senior royal reportedly gain oversight of spending tied to her role would test anyone's pride. Yet those who know Camilla say she understands the bigger picture. The monarchy is under more scrutiny than at any point in living memory, and the king's reported push for transparency protects her as much as it constrains her. Some sources even suggest Camilla respects Anne's famously careful approach to money and recognizes that if anyone was going to take on such a role, better the sister known for fairness than a faceless committee of courtiers. Still, palace silence can conceal many things, and when it comes to Anne and Camilla, silence has always carried a certain electricity. Beyond the palace gates, the reaction has been just as revealing. Royal commentators have split into camps almost overnight. Some argue the reported move is a masterstroke, proof that Charles is serious about modernizing an institution that survives only by public consent. Others warn that even the appearance of one senior royal supervising another risks feeding exactly the kind of speculation the palace dreads. On social media, the debate has been louder still, with some praising Anne as the safest pair of hands in Britain, and others insisting the Queen deserves full authority over matters connected to her own official life. What almost everyone agrees on is this: the fact that such a report can dominate headlines at all shows how deeply the public cares about what happens inside those walls and how little the palace's silence does to calm the curiosity. If anything, saying nothing has only made the story bigger. These are, after all, two of the most different women ever to share the royal stage. Anne, born to the throne's inner circle, forged by duty, allergic to glamour, famously blunt. Camilla, the outsider who endured years of public judgment, warm and easy in a crowd, a survivor of the harshest media storm the monarchy has ever produced. For years, rumors of friction between them have surfaced in the press, only to dissolve without proof. No confrontation has ever been confirmed, no feud has ever been documented. What we see in public is professionalism, two senior royals appearing at events, supporting the king, never once betraying tension. But royal history teaches us that the absence of visible conflict is not always the absence of conflict. Whenever responsibilities shift inside the family, whenever one royal appears to rise, observers instinctively wonder who is quietly stepping back. The reported spending arrangement has poured fresh fuel on that old fascination. Is this simply sensible housekeeping in a modernizing monarchy, or the opening move in a subtle rebalancing of influence around the king? The honest answer is that no one outside those palace walls truly knows. What we do know is this: King Charles is racing against time to leave behind a monarchy that Britain still believes in, leaner, cleaner, and beyond financial reproach. Princess Anne, the sister he has trusted his entire life, embodies exactly the values that mission requires. And Queen Camilla, whatever these reports may or may not reveal, continues her duties with the same steady resolve that carried her through far worse storms than this. Perhaps the reported arrangement is nothing more than prudent management, blown out of proportion by a public hungry for palace drama. Or perhaps years from now, we will look back on this moment as the point where the balance of power inside the royal family quietly began to shift. Until the palace speaks, and it rarely does, the story lives in the space between what is confirmed and what is whispered. So now we turn it over to you. Do you believe King Charles made the right call by reportedly bringing Princess Anne into the heart of royal finances? Or should Queen Camilla have remained fully in charge of matters connected to her own role? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you found this story fascinating, wait until you hear what's reportedly happening with the royal inheritance and the future of the family's private fortunes. That video is on your screen right now, and it might just change how you see the crown forever. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you never miss what happens next behind palace walls. This is Royal Pulse, where whispers around the crown come to light.